Dujunnea Bland, and we're going to talk a little NHRA today as the NHRA is back. Yes, they are back in action for the second run at Indy. It is the Dodge NHRA Indy Nationals, presented by Pennzoil, and it should be a good time. Should be a good time at the races. This is the biggest gathering of cars that they've had since the restart. 580 cars. The Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series is there, along with the Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series. So they got a lot of cars out there. It's going to be a fun event. There's a lot of cars out there. And the NHRA has done a good job of preparing for this. And when you look at the roster, they're going to have Top Fuel funny cars. They'll have Pro Stock motorcycle, Pro Mod, the Mountain Motor Pro Stock. I find those very fun to watch. And Top Fuel Harley. A lot of vehicles out there. Should be a fun event to watch. And I'll just say, if you don't have NHRA TV, at least give it a shot this weekend. Lots of racing. I believe it started on Thursday with the action. You can just rent it for the weekend. I think it's like $19. So give it a look-see. It's a great app, great way to watch the action live in real time. Or you can just wait until it comes on Fox or FS1. Now, some news and notes from around the NHRA, some news that you may not have known or known. First and foremost, it is now official. No John Force Racing for 2020. They decided to park it for 2020. And with all the uncertainty, I can understand why. I also can understand that John Force, this is a business. This is what he does. This is livelihood. So you have to protect that. When things are uncertain and when you're dealing with sponsorships, you're dealing with trying to sponsor 3 or 4 cars, etc., you have to manage that. You have to think ahead. And that's what they're doing. And you have to respect that. In this climate, it's very uncertain. The race season is very uncertain. Still applaud the NHRA for making the adjustments where they need to. I think they've done quite the job considering the circumstances. But John Force has to make the right decision for him and his family and his business. And he did just that. And we're going to miss him. We're going to miss that team and miss seeing him out there. But I think it's been stated by many, Joe Costello as well, Alan Reinhart as well. This opportunity for some young guys and some new blood to come in, fill the roster out and fill the spots out and go out and do some racing. And that's been fun to watch. It kind of gives you that 90s feel with when they didn't have all the multiple car teams and you had a whole bunch of single car guys out there just going at it on the weekends, And that gives it that kind of feel. It's pretty awesome to see. I like seeing some of the, part-timers come out there, get after it, put on a show. Justin Ashley, TJ Zizzo put on a show. Unfortunately, was unable to finish, and they will finish that at a later date. But that was fun to watch. And we'll just look ahead to 2021 for JFR Racing. And in the meantime, we'll continue to watch the action and those who are out there. But we're going to miss them. We're definitely going to miss John Force Racing out of the racetrack. In other news, Kim Davis, former drag boat racer, he will be making his Top Fuel debut in the Terry Haddock car. And Terry Haddock's car has been quite smooth. And Davison said it as such, as he's tested it a few times, had a couple passes in it. This guy's made 300 passes in a drag boat and he says that it's more violent than a top fuel car, I'll take his word for it. It looks more violent than any car. It's quite scary for me, and quite honest with you, you have to have a big set of cojones to go out there on water and go 270 miles an hour. So I believe he's more than prepared and ready for this. Um, and it'll be really fun to watch to see if he can go some rounds. We know the DSR cars, especially over there on that side in the top few ladder. Leah Pruitt, and Corey Mack will be out there. Those guys are running great. You got the Coletta cars out there as well. But he has the opportunity to go some rounds, and if he can place in a decent spot and not in a 16th spot and get an ugly draw at number one, he might be able to go some rounds and find himself in the mix in the semifinals or something. Maybe. Either way, it'll be fun to watch and see how well that team does as he makes his debut. Well, the NHRA has done a phenomenal job of preparing, and the protocol has been stepped up. So they'll have more hand sanitizer, more hand washing stations out there. The fans will be there, but they are at a limit according to state regulations. From what I understand, they probably are going to come in under the state regulations just to be safe. And I think you have to, again, applaud the NHRA for how they've gone about it, especially with having fans in attendance. They're going to have a lot more cars than they've had in the previous weekends, being that they've kind of separated these two divisions. It'll be interesting, but I think they can pull it off. And they can pull this off, then other leagues can take a note from them. For NFL, NBA, not NBA, but MLB, these organizations that are struggling, that aren't able to be or not in a bubble, they might be able to take some notes from what the NHRA is doing, especially when you're adding fans. You have the drivers and their crews. You have to manage all of these things. So as long as we can keep having success here, then these are things that they can disseminate to some of these others and be an example for these other leagues. And so it'll be interesting to see how everything pans out throughout the weekend. But I expect them to have success here as they have since the restart, at least to my knowledge. So that will be something that I will be keeping an eye on as well, because we all know some of the other leagues have struggled. And they understand that you're going to have cases. They have all the protocols in place. They have all the protocols in place so that people don't feel like they have to be in the car. They can get a replacement driver if they do test positive. So all of those things that they've done are pretty amazing, and it's going to help prolong keeping racers out at the racetrack. And that's what they're trying to do. And hey, it's good for us too, because we have something to watch, something other than replays to watch each and every weekend. So Indy is this weekend, and we'll see if they can go to the next venue, given the circumstances in that particular state, and whether they're going to allow fans at the venue. Well, when we come back, I'm going to give you my 3 to watch. Actually, I'm going to give you 4 and an honorable mention. When we come back, you're listening to the breakdown. And we are back. And like I said, I was going to give you my 3 to watch. And this has been quite the season. You come back in to the restart of the season. You don't have as many qualifying sessions to get your car in the show. So that means there's less data. Now, it has helped that they've been at the same racetrack twice. So although the conditions are different, and they have, for most part, most teams have a lot of information on this track anyway. Now, if you're new, obviously you don't have that much data, but Most teams have a lot of data for a lot of different set of circumstances. But you still only have 2 sessions to get it in. And sometimes you don't necessarily find the groove in your tune up and have that thing ready to go come race day. You only got 2 sessions. So you have to hit the ground running, and you can't be too soft to where if you have more than 16 cars, you put yourself behind the 8 ball in the last qualifying session. But you can't be too aggressive either to where you put yourself out in a predicament where you don't make the show. And I'm going to start with my first one in pro stock. And I'm going to be looking at Bo Butner. Bo Butner this season is 3-3 round win loss record. He's fifth in the points, and he has one runner up. That was believed the second race of the season. Now you look at his 2019 stats. He was 12-1 last year. Won 3 events in in 4 races. This year he's gotten off to a slow start, but I don't expect that slow start to continue. And I think some of these drivers are having a slow start, and it appears to be a slow start because of this change in circumstances. You don't have the 4 qualifying sessions, you have 2. So if you're having some issues with your car, maybe there's some gremlins you're trying to work out, maybe it's something with the setup, hey, it puts you behind. And then you have to try to figure that out. Hopefully you got it right in the first round of eliminations. I expect him to be better this weekend, and I'll be keeping an eye on Bo Butner. Guy's a champion. And he won a lot of races last year. A lot of races, a lot of rounds. I don't expect this slow start to continue, and I'll be looking to see if he'll turn it around here at the Indy Nationals dose. Now we'll move over to Funny Car and Tim Wilkerson. Tim Wilkerson, steady Eddie, always just right where you need him to be when you need him to be there. Doesn't always have the big time tune up at the right moment, but consistency is the key in winning championships. And this car has to be the most consistent outside of the DSR cars, has to be the most consistent non-DSR car that is consistent this season. You look at his round win-loss record, 5-4, just above 500, but the stats don't tell the story. He was in a lot of races, and he faced Matt Hagan, I believe, twice and lost. He faced some tough competitors. I believe John Force earlier in the season, he lost there, but the car's been very consistent. He's always consistent, and I know he'll be like, oh, don't put that pressure on me, but he really is a guy who is a steady guy, always consistent on the tree. The car is always ready to go, and we know it. There's always going to be problems here and there. It's drag racing. But for the most part, that team is like a well-oiled machine. And he's got to get a win here soon. He's just been so close. I think he's a guy that you want to watch here this weekend at the Dodge NHRA Indy Nats. As he's got one semifinal appearance. He's 4th in the points. And, when you look at his stats, he had 15 first-round losses last year. He had 3 out of the first 5 races, he had first-round exits. And this season, he doesn't have any. That tells you that car is better. It's ready to go, and they've shown that. And I think they're due. So keep an eye on Tim Wilkerson and that Levi Ray and Shop. Funny Car. And now, we'll move over to Top Fuel, and it's been fun. The DSR cars have been pretty awesome throughout both classes. And Leah Pruitt is a person that I will be watching this weekend. She's 6-4, and funny enough, she was 6-4 through 4 races last year. So shows her consistency as a driver, their crew, and how they go about their business. They're 6-4 again this year. She has 2 semifinal appearances. I felt like she should have gotten a win in one of those. She's been very close, and another car that's right on the cusp of getting an event win. And I'm definitely going to be watching her this weekend. She just seems uber focused. Everything's working well. She seems comfortable, and it shows out on the racetrack. She's cutting extremely good lights, and the car is money when it's on. So keep an eye on her this weekend, as I think with the field and outside of Doug Coletta and those guys, I really feel like she has an opportunity to get a win this weekend. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that. Last but not least, though, is Pro Stock Motorcycle. And this will be their second race, as their first race was the first restart Indy race, as they would have been Gainesville before it was canceled due to COVID. So they're in their second race, and I'm going to be looking at Jerry Savoy. And it's interesting because the first race last year, he was race he was 1-1 in round wins. He made it to the second round, but lost in Gainesville. And he's 0-1 this year. He had a slow start last year, and it seems like, at least through one round, he was unable to get to the next round. So you can't say just yet that it's a slow start, but he was so consistent last year. The guy missed like 3 or 4 races and still was in the championship hunt. Like, pretty impressive. Now, we'll see what happens from race 2 at Indy with 2 qualifying sessions. Makes it difficult, especially for the bikes. Short wheelbase, you got to be on the money. If you're a little off and you're trying to play catch up, it's really hard to play catch up with 2 rounds of qualifying. That means that you're still playing catch up in the first round. So we'll see if they can get it together and try to find a happy medium early, and then hopefully they can hit the ground running on Elimination Sunday and go some rounds. But I'll definitely be watching Jerry Savoy, and I'm also interested in watching Angelle Sampey. She's 1 year in with the Pro Stock Harley. It's a different bike. I think she's found the groove. She seems a lot more comfortable out there on the bike. Now can we put it all together? Tune up, rider. Can we put it all together? And I'll be interested in seeing her too. Because I think this is the race that we're going to see a 3-horse race with those Harleys. Andrew and Eddie have been quite the consistent 2 out there on the racetrack, and they've been working diligently to help Angelle get up there as well, and I think we're going to see that this weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun action out there on the racetrack. So don't miss it, whether you watch it on TV or you watch it on NHRA TV live. It's going to be fun. So don't miss this weekend's race. Indy Deuce. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for our show. We thank you for listening. And some of you may be wondering, where is Karita? Well, I'm going to be doing the NHRA shows, and we'll talk NHRA when we get together, when we do the breakdown together. I want to say that my co-host has launched a new website. It's called Double Take Sports. Give it a look-see. It is different than just analysis. Some in-depth stories, some interesting stories that you'll find there. And she's doing it big. She's quite busy. And I'm pretty proud of that. It's pretty awesome to see all the fun things that she's coming up with and the fun things that she's doing. I'm happy to have her as a teammate. So check her out, please. And So, that is all for our show. Again, we thank you, and this has been The Breakdown.